so that way you know. If you use mine, it has to be cleaned when you use it. And it's really easy. You just take off the top here. And this is something to have. You have to make sure your sprayers are always cleaned out and everything, otherwise they get clogged up and they just don't work right. So if yours happens to not be working while you use it, it's probably clogged for some reason. And another reason it might not work is if you didn't sieve the glaze or the slip, like through that 100 mesh. A lot of times that's the reason why it has a little particle in it that gets clogged in the sprayer. But this one you just take off the top and unscrew it, and I'll leave this one down in the sculpture room for you guys to use during class when you want to use it. But you unscrew the end here. You'll do this every time after you use it. You don't have to do it before because it should be clean before you use it. This is the hardest part right here, is this wrench. You gotta make sure it fits on the end there, and that'll be in there with everything. And it'll fit on there, and you turn it, if you're facing it, counterclockwise. And it's a little tricky, but just turn it, it'll unloosen there. Just unscrew it with your hand. Alright, here we go. I just used this thing not too long ago. You unscrew the back here. You gotta watch out for this little guy right here. If you lose this, it won't work anymore.
Is that a spring?
It's a spring, yeah. So you unscrew it nice and slow. Make sure that spring doesn't shoot out. Make sure you're not over the sink when you do it. Oh, these things have stops in them, so they won't go down the sinks. But yeah, don't lose that spring. And you just kind of pull this thing out here, like a gun, I guess. Pull it out. Put it down, just run some water through there. Doesn't have to be hot or anything, doesn't have to be soapy, just run some water through. There's this little itty bitty brush that comes with them. And you're just going to kind of go in there and kind of make sure that chamber is cleaned out on the top and on the front. You just got to scrub it just a little bit, nothing too serious. Just get the junk out of it. Alright, once you do that, just do it in reverse, put your piston back in. I'll be here if you guys need help with this. Oh, look at that, I got some junk in there. I did a bad job. Let me do that again. Let's run that through there. Alright, back through.
That was a good demo of how it gets gunked up.
Yeah, that's how it gets gunked up.
Yeah.
Tip, I'm going to clean that off real quick too. Make sure there's nothing in there. You don't want to have a repeat of that last little demo part. Make sure the tip gets screwed back on. Put your spring in the back side. Screw your backstop back on here. And this regulates how much flow goes through your gun. So I have it set so only a certain amount goes through there. So if you just screw this one, don't mess with the inside one there. And it'll screw into place there. Okay, and it'll just hand tighten it. You don't have to tighten it really hard, just kind of hand tighten a little bit there. Make sure you get your wrench back on there. And you're going to go clockwise with it if you're facing it. Just hand tighten, nothing too much. Screw the end back on. Now, this part right here, this swivels here, if it's going horizontal, that means the spray is actually going to come out vertical, so it'll be in line like this. If you have it turned that way, it's going to spray like this. So depending on what you want to do, if you're doing vertical surfaces, I tend to always keep mine kind of like this, so it's running horizontal. So it's just the opposite of what it looks like. If it's running horizontal, it sprays vertical. Just hand tighten that, and this thing will kind of move a little bit as you do it. Just kind of turn it back over, get it kind of somewhat centered on there. And then I'm going to go ahead and put the top back on.
You're bringing that video back, aren't you?
And that's it. Okay. Now this type of sprayer here is an HVLP sprayer. It means a high volume, low pressure, which means you don't need as much pressure out of the air compressor to get out the same amount of volume. So it's just a nice spray gun. You can get them at paint shops, auto places. They carry these types. You can get them at Lowe's and Home Depot. This one here was probably about $50. I've used it for a long time. They sell cheaper ones through probably High Water carries these easy spray guns, and they do a good job. They just don't spray out as fine of a mist as I like. So these ones are much simpler. They don't get clogged as easy, but the mist is a little bit kind of chunky, kind of spread out more kind of bigger dots, bigger pixels, everything about computers, you know, than this one would. This one's just a nice fine mist. So once I do that, everything's cleaned up. What I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and put a black slip on this piece first. So I'm going to go ahead, and this is my kind of, it looks brown right now, and it is pretty much brown when it fires, but if you fire it hot enough, it turn black. So it's just like a basic like cone 10 black slip recipe, and I'll give that out to you guys, and I'll have some mixed up in class. We're going to put it in there. And again, that thing was sieved already, so I went through that 100 mesh sieve. Screw the top back on, everything's just kind of hand tightened. This thing really won't spill out or anything, it's pretty good. You can kind of tip it outside and it won't spill out. What you want to do is, over on this side of the spray booth, this is where the actual air compressor gets turned on at. It's ran through the wall, the air compressor is kept in with the dry clay storage. I'll turn it on, you should be able to hear it turn on. There it is. Now, while it's running, that means it's pumping up with air, it's filling up the tank. And depending on what the tank's set on, it's usually set somewhere between like, I guess 70-ish. So it'll fill up to 70 pounds of pressure in there, and then it'll shut off. And as you use it, as you're spraying air out, it'll want to fill back up again. So my gun here is set at 40 pounds, which means only 40 pounds of pressure is going to come out of here. So this thing could be at 70, 80, 90, whatever, but only 40 pounds is going to come out of here. Where this one, if it's set at 70, 80, or 90, you're going to get that much coming out of it. So you won't feel a difference really, but it'll just spray out more material at a time. You can tell how it sprays. It sprays out a lot more. Did you get that?
I did.
All right. Now, these spray booths are set up. They have a filter in them, and they have an air intake. And I'm going to turn it on. But it's going to be kind of loud, so I'm going to turn it on for a second so you can hear it. This is the on switch. On switch is on that one too. So it's kind of loud. The thing that's nice about these spray booths is that it's pulling all the stuff that you're spraying down away from your face. Like some spray booths are set up with the air intakes up here. Fan is, and it'll pull that stuff like up past your face, and so it's still doing a good job of keeping it out of your lungs, but it's still getting in your face. So these ones are much better spray booths, and it's going to kind of really help keep down the overspray and everything that could get out in the room and into your face. If you're using the spray booth, you have to wear some sort of dust mask. This one is a pretty decent one. It's from Lowe's. It's got some good cartridges on there. Does anybody have one of those paper masks in here? Anybody have a little one? You got one in the classroom. So you guys, there are paper masks you can get.
You can get them in the bookstore.
You get them in the bookstore. You get they're about $3, maybe less than that. Those work just fine for spraying material like this. I wouldn't worry about having to have one of these. We're only going to be spraying a few times. But I'm going to go ahead and put my mask on. Like that, yeah. But before I do that, when I spray this, I'm going to be about 6 inches away. Okay, so I'm going to be spraying about 6 inches away. Nice even coats, and you guys can get up closer. I wouldn't get too much further past this table, but if you want to get up closer, you kind of see how I'm spraying it, and I'll stop occasionally and kind of talk to you. So I'm going to put it on right now. Just flipped on. Oh, let me talk about this. This is a quick release. You got to pull down on this. You got to use you can use 2 hands to do this, but it's much easier if you just use 1 hand. Pull down with your thumb and your finger. It opens that chamber up, so that you can slip this male end into there. It's going to make a little noise like the air's coming through there. You have to push down pretty forcefully on it. And let go of that ring. You got to push it up on there, and it's going to lock it into place. It won't come off now. Okay. Back to the mask. All right.